Yeah, so good evening, everyone. I welcome one and everyone. This is our 21st Zoom session of UMANG, and we all know UMANG is all about it's a space of rejuvenation, interaction, expressing yourself, acknowledging, and basically growing together in our medical fraternity, growing in all aspects of our health. Today we have a very interesting session, especially designed for medical student, undergraduate and postgraduate students. We all have undergone it and the present students are undergoing exam stress. We have named the topic as Dear Exam because we cannot run away from it and we have to love it ultimately and go through it happily. So the topic is Dear Exam. It's in collaboration with Medical Education Unit of Rajiv Gandhi Medical College. I acknowledge them for giving us the permission to do that. Thank you, Swapnali Madam.
Thank you so much, madam.
Uh, I would like to invite the speakers and moderators now. So our first speaker, I would like to invite Shrinil Virani. He is first year MBBS student in Rajiv Gandhi Medical College, and always he's eager to learn new things, and he's doing that now also. He loves to play a lot of games, volleyball, football, and apparently he's very good in art. Also does meditation to deal with stress, I feel. Yeah. And has won many debate competition. And also he's an active volunteer for Srimad Raj Chandraji Love and Care Foundation and has taught many children Jainism. Active member of Rotary Club of Medicrew and also medical active member of Medical Students Association of India. Welcome, Srinil.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your warm wishes. I'm glad to be here.
Our next speaker is Karti Ahlawat. She's final year medical student in Rajiv Gandhi Medical College and has won again many debate competitions during her school life and medical life. She has been the general secretary of the college last year and loves to play volleyball, cricket, and badminton as a good orator and is a bibliophile also. Wants to do something worthwhile in life, and I'm sure Akriti, you are here and doing much more than things, worthy.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, welcome, Akriti.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our next speaker is Dr. Sanika Surve, who was passed out last year from Rajiv Gandhi Medical College and is a tutor in anatomy department now and preparing for her post-graduation exams. She is a active member of Student Council in Rajiv Gandhi Medical College and was a ladies representative in Association of State Medical Interns Maharashtra. She's currently a secretary of Thane District Junior Doctors, Indian Medical Association of Junior Doctors Network. And she loves Kathak dancing. She's a professional Kathak dancer. Welcome, dear Sanika.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
We also have with us a psychologist expert, Smita Abhyankar. Yeah, hello, Smita Abhyankar. She has a lot of experience in dealing with exam stress of students. She has conducted many workshops for 10th standard students dealing with their stresses and is expert in personalized counseling and therapy related to relationship management, stress, anxiety, and have a lot of clients of this age group, 20-25 age group. Welcome, Smita. And I welcome our moderator and the brain behind this session, Dr. Swapnali Kadam. Swapnali Kadam, she's a professor and head of the Department of Physiology at Rajiv Gandhi Medical College and also an academician, likes to be called as an academician because that's her keen interest. She has done her post-graduation from St. GS Medical College and loves teaching and have started teaching since the age of 10 years because her parents were public school teacher and she got inspired by it. And she continued her passion by completing an advanced course and fellowship in medical education. That's great, Dr. Swapnali. She also has a medical education unit. She is also a medical education unit coordinator. And she has got many opportunities where she's planned and organized various CMEs, workshops for the residents and undergraduate students. To name it, It is like in COVID, communication skill, research methodology, and reflective writing. That's a main which I feel. And in research, she has conducted a lot of nominated projects from ICMR, like in medical education, COVID-19, tuberculosis, diabetes, and besides physiology, which is her core subject. She's also officer in charge for Students' Council for since 6 years, which has helped her to feel young, I would say, which she's been stressing whenever we talk. And she understands New Era students better because she's continuously interacting with them. And she is also a nature lover. Welcome, Swapnali madam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind
So
words.
I hand over this session to you. Please.
Thank you. So with this, we take this session ahead. And as Madam said that we have said that this whole topic name is a dear exam. So when we are talking about a dear exam, it's always real because you just can't run away from it. It is part and parcel of our life. And something what is part and parcel of life should be the part of, it should be to your, yeah, so it should be to the best of your heart and it should be with you. So the thing which is lying with you must be love. That is what is I feel. If otherwise it becomes difficult for you to live. So either of it, either you love it or it is difficult for you to live it. So it's always better to love it. So whatever is around you, spread love and be in love. So that is what is my funda. So I feel that exams are always love. With this, we will like to see that how the students' perspective is. The whole of the session, if you see that the speakers are mainly students, because when I was student, there was different environment, different things, and down the line it had changed a lot. And students' perspective to understand the student stresses is very important at every era. And that is why what we have thought about this session in a such a way that we will be asking the students some questions and they will be giving their perspective to you all to know that will be very closer to your heart and will be better understood by all of you. That is what is our opinion. So coming with the first question where students can give, I'd like to ask Sanika a question that how the stress of the medical students different from the other professional colleges?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening to one and all, respected doctors and all my fellow friends. To dive straight into the topic and to answer the ma'am's question. So studies have shown that 1 out of 5 every 5 students is suffering from depression. Association of Anxiety and Depression in America has given results that 50% of students are suffering from anxiety at any given point of time. Now, these studies have been about general population, but when we compare these data with the study on medical students, the numbers have come out relatively higher. So the British Medical Journal has given that out of 300 students, 31.2% are currently suffering from anxiety, and 4% are victims to substance abuse. An Indian study on Indian medical students, which happened in Delhi, shows that a whopping 80% of students were undergoing or suffering from depression and stress issues. So one might think that the medical students are better off than their peers in walk of their life. And it is true, consider our social standard and way people treat us and our medical ailments. But when we consider stress and anxiety, this particular population is on the receiving end of the spectrum. So question is why? Why is this? So even today in India, there is a massive makeover of our technology, of our infrastructure. But still in this developing country, doctors are still considered as demigods. You know, dealing with one's life who is beloved to somebody, somebody's parent, somebody's sibling, child. You know, there's a test of excellence and precision. And to receive this precision, medical students undergo very strenuous and toughest syllabus of all other, compared to all other professions. Now, unlike other colleges where the duration of the course is comparatively smaller, like for engineering, it's 3 years, marketing 2 years, and they get job security, which is there. In campus placements are there. So compared to them, as such, our duration is long. We do not have any job security as such. So that is one thing which differs from other professions to medical students. And despite all this, to accept these facts and to comprehend all this, comprehend heavy concepts of medical science, and alongside maintaining or trying to maintain the work-life balance and trying to maintain their sanity, to preserve their mental health, that is what makes medical life of medical students more stressful than other professions.
Smita, madam, would you like to?
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, Sanika. It's very well said. And, I think, the only one over here who is not directly from. I have dealt with a lot of doctors throughout my life, but yes, I'm not a medical. So, I can look at all this from a panoramic. I'm sitting on the edge and looking at all of it. Plus, I have an experience with a lot of young guys, kids like you. Sanika, as you rightly said, medical profession definitely is different. We call it a holy profession. But let people say that you have to remember that you are still human beings, and you have to accept that the road is very, very long. No, it's not. This is just a beginning. You're still studying, and there's a long way ahead of you. Another important thing that you need to understand is giving exams and learning are two completely different processes. Okay? Right now, you're giving exams. On the way, you will learn, and the process of learning will continue even after you pass out, after you do everything, your specialization. So that is going to be unending. Like all other professions, the learning is going to continue. So do not take the burden of the entire learning at this stage. Right now, you can take it bit by bit. You should take it. The second thing that you said about the other kids of your age settling down before you and having a comparatively easy life. Yes, I agree. They settle much before you. They have the campus interviews and selections. And I also belong to the pharma industry. I have worked extensively in pharma. And one thing that I realized when I was working there is nowadays, like, yes, before the doctors were gods, nowadays the patients are gods. They have the choice, and the moment they feel that they don't like a particular doctor, they will shift to someone else. There is immense competition. There are n number of specialists available, and the patients have subjective view of the doctors. Okay, they look at you and they like you or they don't like you. So it is a difficult life. But trust me, you are the chosen ones, and you should never forget that. Okay, it's an extremely wonderful profession, and you can do wonders. You are the ones who can actually be the difference between the life and death. And when you look at yourself, when you look at this entire process, look at it from this point. Stress is inevitable because you are in a profession to release the other people's stress. So yes, you will have to deal with it, and I'm very sure that you're capable. The fact that you cleared NEET, oh my god, I don't know how you guys, it's really, really, but you did that. So the stress you can always, it doesn't have to be a big stress. You have to break it down in pieces. Even when we eat bread, we don't eat the entire loaf. When we take stress, we want to take the entire stress now, right? So even when it comes to exams, when it comes to clearing your MBBS, when it comes to settling down, you should take it one by one. Don't think about when I'm going to settle down. It's time. You should take that time to enjoy this. The moment you start enjoying the process, even the stress becomes positive. So I think it's very, very important for you to be a part of this magic. I use a lot of such words. They make me feel good also, and they will make you. And stress, yes, we can give you tools, handle the stress, and we'll get through this. I think it's wonderful the way you put it. And the best part is you people already have the clarity about what you're going through, and that clarity will eventually take you through this. And you have wonderful teachers who are there to help, who are there to help you. So I don't think it should be. It's difficult, of course, but then being doctor is not easy. For us, doctors means Grey's Anatomy. When I talk to the real doctors, I realize, okay, it's not like that. Huh? But I think all of you can get through it. One thing that is it better now?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So one thing that I can tell you and I must tell you is that we talk a lot about stress. Let us accept that there is going to be a lot of stress. Okay? But trust me, there is no stress that you cannot deal with. To even understand the pathology of this, to understand what a stress is, you know what is going on in your body when you have stress. Being medical students, you are well aware of how your brain works. So the knowledge is bliss. And when you know all this, you are far better equipped to deal with stress. You just have to think like, let stress be sitting with you and carry you through the MBBS process. Okay? It's a good friend. It's a lot of motivation that you get because of stress. It gives you a lot of energy. Now it's up to you to use it in the correct direction. And don't worry about settling down. You will settle down eventually. And when you do, you'll be far better. Okay? Anything else you would like to know, Sanika?
Thank you for your advice.
Yeah. So I think Madam has elaborately stated about stress. One thing I will like to comment only here is everyone must have some amount of the stress. As a physiologist, I will say that a eustress is required. Everything within physiological limit is required. So hypo and hyper is always a problem. So eustress is also required, but then you should know that where it starts as a eustress and where it ends as a eustress. So you should be aware about it, where it stops as a eustress and becomes an anxiety or a depression or a further more complication. So I would like to ask Srinil that what are the factors, contributing factors for enhancement of the exam stress in the first year?
Yes. First, I would like to thank the UMANG Foundation for inviting me to be here. And for the answer, ma'am, one of the first thing that I'd like to say is there's a fear of unknown. So, in NEET, we've been giving MCQ tests throughout for 2 years, only focusing on MCQ, MCQ, MCQ. And then suddenly, when we come to MBBS, we have to write long subjective answers. And we do not know if we'll be able to manage that. There's this fear of unknownness. Then there's a fear of how will the seniors treat me? How will my teachers be? How will my college be? And as we all know, for each and every subject, there are so many authors. Which book am I supposed to study? Which book is good? What is important? What is not important? Will I be able to do dissection properly? Will I be able to do my practicals properly? So all of these things, it comes under the fear of unknown, and that kind of accumulates stress or anxiety within you. Another one I would like to talk about is the fear of incompetence. So as ma'am rightly said, that we've all cleared NEET itself is a big achievement. So it's all of us have got great academic skills and we excel in that. And now suddenly in MBBS, just passing is a big thing. So imagine now you've always excelled in your exams, you've always done great in your school, etc. And now the moment you just pass, you're happy. So there is this a different feeling that is within you, that the fear of incompetence maybe that accumulates the stress that why can't I score more. The third thing I'd like to talk about is the fear of high stakes. So as ma'am rightly again said that MBBS is a very long journey, 4.5 to 5 years only for your graduation. And imagine if you flunk a test and then you have to sit for the supplementary exams. You have to study the first year portion and the second year portion together. And if you fail that too, you have to repeat an entire year. So already when the journey is so long, you have to add another year. So there is a fear of that there's a lot of high stakes that are riding on these exams and I have to perform well. So maybe that creates a lot of anxiety and stress of performance. Another very important thing that I've seen among my friends, I personally do not experience that, is that out of the 100 people in my batch, 70 to 80% of the people are not from Bombay. They come from cities, towns, and villages that are outside. So now, anytime you come outside of your comfort zone, you always are going to experience a little bit of stress, anxiety, etc. All of these students, they've always been under their parents' protection till this age, and now suddenly they're moving to a different city, in a different college where they do not know how everything will be, in a completely different place. So the physical environment maybe can, cause a lot of stress, at least in the first year. However, soon they can get used to it and reach a point where they enjoy it a lot. But the initial days do cause a lot of stress. And the last, but the most important thing that I personally face is, man, procrastination. There is nothing that does more harm to me than procrastination. Even though I've barely managed to pass in my first and my second terms, I I always believe that, okay, I'm going to start from the first day, I'm going to study. It never happens. You always just end up pushing all of that till the very last moment, and then you end up crying, you end up having stress, you always have anxiety. But then you also feel like, if I have so many exams, when do I enjoy? When do I spend time with my friends? So you always tend to procrastinate, you always tend to push things. And I think all of these things together, they induce a lot of stress in the first year. Yes, ma'am.
I must say that these people, they are really very mature for their age, and very well said, Srinil, as well.
Thank you.
Again, there are 2-3 things that I would like to highlight. First thing is that fear of unknown is always there, but the unknown will only stay for that. If you get into the system, if you get to know others, once you have few friends with you, then that fear will automatically disappear for sure. And for that, you need to increase your immunity to stress. Doctors or nothing works better than we have physical immunity, we also have mental. So if we have a good mental immunity, we can deal with stress. We can do away with it. It's like a virus which is all over around us, and we have to deal with it. So you have to increase your mental immunity as well. So I'm going to tell you about the WBCs. Okay, these are the 3 things that you have to remember. They are very, very simple, which we tend to forget, because we are doing too many complicated things and we forget simple. So the W is water, B is breathing. Okay, so I'll first talk about these 2. When you are under stress, the best medicine is water. It cools down your system immediately. Okay. So, when I was a child, and if I was stressed about something, I would just run to my mother, and I was panting, and I was like, Mom. She would say, okay, just wait, sit, take a deep breath, have a glass of water, wait, now speak. This is something where all of us have experienced when we were kids. Now, suddenly, we don't want to do that. Suddenly, we feel that, okay, I'm a doctor, I don't have time to breathe. It's a tagline that all the young people use. Saas lene ki fursat nahi hai. And we're so proud of that, right? But that is something that is harming you a lot. You have to breathe. And breathing is what is making you. So breathe slowly. Take time out for breathing, because I'm sure you have to study, you have projects, you have to do assignments, then you have to be with your peers. You have to do all that. When are you going to breathe in all this? And we feel that it's an automatic process, so it will take care of itself. But it's not so automatic as well. Have you ever observed your breathing? Our breathing has become so shallow. We are not inhaling enough oxygen. We are not trying to feel our breathe. Okay? So it's very, very important that you breathe. I would suggest that all of you, when you go to sleep, we always talk about deep breathing. That is important, particularly when you get very, very panic. First thing that you do when you're getting a panic attack, feel that everything you just can't manage. You take a shower. A good shower will always calm down your entire system, your body. After that, you just sit there and you do slow breathing. I'm not talking about deep breathing. Deep breathing is important, but slow breathing. So when you do slow breathing, if you are taking 5 breaths in 1 second, is that possible? Let us say 5 breaths in 5 seconds. You have to take 2 breaths in 5 seconds. So it has to be slow. It has to be very, very slow. is going to the system calmness. So this sympathetic parasympathetic fight which is happening all the time in the body. You know what happens when you are under consistent stress? Your body forgets that it has got a parasympathetic system. It's always on that high. And then after some time, our brain looks at it as normal. So after you spend 2 years in MBBS, you feel stress is normal, but it is not. And you have to come back to your normal. So you have to allow that parasympathetic nervous system, catch hold of you and tell you, okay, bus, enough of it now, just calm. And for that, you need to have good sleep. You have to start breathing. You have to drink a lot of water. And what is the C? WBC. The C is clarity. As you move ahead, you will get clarity about what you cannot have it when you start your journey. First year MBBS, well, I haven't experienced it, thank God. But even when I did my studies, what I was during my first year and what I was when I finished the studies, I was a completely different person. And it happens to everyone. Learning is a process. So as I said, don't try to eat everything in one go. Pura loaf ek saath nahi hai. You take it piece by piece. If you feel you cannot take the entire piece, eat half of it. If you're worried about failure, well, you should be. But then if you fail, then you always have a second chance. Okay? Now the most important thing about the procrastination. Everybody goes through it, so you don't have to feel guilty about it. One thing that you should understand is procrastination and laziness are two entirely different things. Somehow we tend to mix them. Okay? We feel that we are procrastinating because we are lazy, which may not be the case. Most of the times we procrastinate because we don't have the clarity. We're not sure what we will be able to achieve. We have some ideas, some crazy, all of you, you're intelligent kids. You have done well academically throughout. So, पहले से suppose ये बंदा intelligent. Sanika is extremely intelligent. Sridil बहुत intelligent. So now you have your own bar of expectations. And that bar is about getting good marks, having good ranks. Now you are doing a professional course where the bar of excellence is about actually gaining a lot of knowledge, improving your skill set. Beyond a point, the ranks and marks they don't anymore remain mandatory. They just become a part of the process. Okay? So when you are worried about marks, when you are worried about the final exams, when you're talking about everything that is going to happen in the next 365 days, you will procrastinate. Now, if somebody tells me that you are supposed to carry a 15 kg load to your house, I will say, forget it, I don't want to. Unless that person asks that you are going to carry it 1 kg. So we forget that part. We feel it's going to be that 15 kgs that we will have to take on our back and carry it throughout. No, you have and you must use that opportunity to carry 1 kg. I think Dr. Swapnali also said that it's not going to be everything. It has to be in bits and pieces. You have to break it in such a way that you can do it. Bite what you can chew. Okay? And this applies everywhere. And trust me, you are intelligent. First of all, you have to believe that. You were in school where you were the ranker. Okay? All of you belong to different schools, and all those different schools, you were the rankers. Now, all those rankers have come together. So now you can't be first. All of you are first. Right? So you don't worry about that. Worry about learning. Enjoy the process. And when you start enjoying the process, the exams will happen. They are going to happen anyway. You procrastinate because you are not ready to take the entire stuff. And you can never be ready for that. So when you want to get up in the morning and study, don't think about, I want to finish this chapter. Because I don't know, आपका एक chapter कितने pages का होता है? 100, 200, 500, one book, it could be any damn thing. I mean, MBBS doctors are superheroes, superheroines. So you can't think about that. But what you can definitely think about is thinking about one particular page, one particular volume, one particular section, and I'm going to finish it. And you can finish it. And you know, we have dopamine.
Yeah.
All of you know dopamine. So whenever you have a target, even if it's a small target, you finish it, you get the dopamine. And it's a good feeling. And once you have that good feeling, as if bad feelings have dominoes effects, so also do the good. So once that sets in, your confidence will go. Start with the things that are easy to understand. Okay, then move to the more difficult. Okay? Have a top down to up, not up. We are always focused on the things that we can't do. In MBBS, you have to do 100 things, for example. Out of that, there would be 25 which you are sure you can. There would be another 30, 35 which you think I will be able to do with some practice. Okay? And then there are going to be another 20, 30 which you feel are very difficult, but with some help with my peers and teachers, I will be able. And there is always going to be that 10 which is just beyond us. And we are always focused only on that 10. That gives you stress. Okay, so focus on the 90 which you are capable of, and the 10 will take care of it. So when you focus on those 90, you will not procrastinate. Okay.
Thank you.
Swapnali, like to add something?
One more thing, one more thing, that there is a huge list of the books and there is no standard book that, okay, this book will give you a complete information. There is no such book in MBBS or in medicine for any part. So you are not going to get any book which is going to say that, okay, this is your answer. Till first year, I think the students are used to become having a spoon feeding for their answers. And suddenly they come to themselves, which is a little difficult task for them. So what I feel that you can do one thing which I have noticed, which is a major difference between I as a student and the today's students when I see it, that when our teachers used to tell us, okay, this is that, we used to sincerely take the notes. Which today's students are so much has a faith in Google, and half the Google is sometimes wrong. And that's the biggest problem probably where I feel that the internet has killed the student. Because the teachers give you the somewhere as a compile notes, which we know, because I know that, okay, every book may not be a perfect. So we know what to take it, what not to take it. So I feel somewhere this need to be modified for the first years, where you don't know which one is the most important. You can prioritize your things which are required to know, because there are certain topics in a life you must know as a doctor, that BP, cardiac output, नींद में भी आना चाहिए यार, उसमें कोई options नहीं. So those topics you just can't skip. So even if it is that in 10% which is difficult, where I beg to differ with your opinion, madam, being a medico, those topics you just can't afford to say that, okay, these were difficult and I don't know, because those are your core topics for your understanding of the patient, and which is must to know. So for that you have to do hook or crook, by peers, by teachers, by any mark, but you have to learn. There is no option for that, because that is going to be crucial for someone's life. So you can't miss them.
I agree. This is the difference between a layman and a doctor. So I always forget that you guys are dealing with human life. So
so
like,
that is where you can't miss this.
But what I can tell you is that those 10% is not something that you want to ignore. But those 10% is important. But if you are concerned about the marks and the exams and the study preparations, we have the 90 which is there for you. Okay, the 10 you are eventually going to learn. You have to learn, as doctor said. So you don't have a choice there. But if you're concerned about the studies and marks, particularly, am I going to clear my exam? Okay, you have the 90 which say, hello, I am there, and you are not going to do. So don't do that. No, they're good guys. They're there to help. And once you have only a limited window You have a limited window. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So this limited window you have, which you have to distribute amongst everything else. So you do what is the best. You try to do what is a little difficult, but you must do which is a 10%. Am I right, Dr. Sum? But that you have to learn. Okay, you
Yeah,
get
I
help.
agree.
Ask questions. There are people to help. There are going to be your colleagues, your friends, your teachers. They're all there. Definitely not Dr. Google. Even I can do doctor. And if I do that, it's going to be a disaster. Okay. If you also do that, then oh God, God only help us. Right?
I think yes, first years has many things, but I other thing one which I will like to add in Srinil's opinion is one thing is the sudden release phenomena from the home. So till that time, the students are little more protected by the parents, and they get a little more freedom where they have their freedom, which can become difficult to handle. So at the start of their first few days, especially as he rightly said that the 70 to 80% are from outside Mumbai, and then they Jivachi Mumbai. So they come to the things that they have got many things for the distractions. So controlling your distractions in first year is also a major chunk. So prioritize what you want to do. So that is a one thing which I will say, that prioritize what you want to do. See for your timeline after 10 years, when you are looking at your focusing at your vision after down the line 5 years, but don't miss your today. You enjoy, but at the same time learn to balance your personal and a professional. So that is also equally important. With this, I will like to ask Akarti a question about how stress differs at a different phases of a medical education, and when do you feel it is at the peak and why?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your question, ma'am. I would say that stress begins in the medico's life from the first day of MBBS. As Trinil very well summed up, that we are from very different backgrounds. There's economic disparity and community difference, and you have to adjust to this new environment. Being from a non-medical family, it's a very stark reality when you enter into the medical world. It's a very new environment to everyone. So these things are different. Also in first year, unlike the previous years, where practical this thing exams are not that important. Okay, you have to give practical exams, but once you come into the MBBS, BU practical exams are of foremost importance. So there are many table vivas, almost 5 to 6 in one day, and on each table your knowledge is judged. So you start grading. Okay, I have to face the teacher, and then I have to tell the answers. So that adds on to the stress. Okay, now I will be directly judged, not through my answers, but through what I say. Secondly, in the second year, when you enter the second year, you start adjusting to the new life you have adjusted. And I feel that in the second years, you start making those real deep friendships. And you peers play a very important role because you start looking out to your peers. What are they doing? And you see that people start exploring the field. They attend various medical conferences, they do researches, they do paper and poster presentation, and you have this feeling that I should not be left behind. I should be in the race. I should be ahead because that's what you were till now, and you want to make your CV. So those stress of not to be left behind is there. You can enter the third year. In the third year, you have the clinical subjects for the first time as your main subjects, and I'll compare this third year with that of 11th standard, because in third year many of the students start attending coaching classes for their NEET PG entrance exams, and it's almost similar to 11th standard, where you have this aim that I should clear this PG entrance exam in one go. I should get a very good seat, and your parents' expectations are also there, that my child should be a cardiothoracic surgeon, my child should be a radiologist. So you hold on to that expectations on your shoulders that in one go I have to go through it. And of course, I would say that final year it's peak of all the stresses. I think everyone will agree with me, with all those hefty subjects and all those clinical postings you have to attend. And I feel that in final year, unlike other years, you have this one very huge responsibility, that this year you're giving an exam for the prefix of doctor for your name, and you start questioning yourself that am I capable, because your professors in the lectures also tell you that from next year you will be handling life, and you ask yourself, am I worth it, am I capable? And also in final year you have to know the crux of all the years, from pathophysiology to the management of the disease. So it's a crux of all years. I would say the stress of all years also adds up, and of course the PG race to get it in one go intensifies, because in final year see everyone is running in that race. So I feel it's the most peak stressful year, final year, and my student myself, so of course I can relate it better.
Wow. Lovely. Yes, final year is tough. Okay. Final year is a stepping stone. As you said, comes after our 10th, it comes after your 12th, and now you again see. No, every time when we get an admission somewhere, we feel that okay, now this is the last time. When you give your boards, your parents say कि बस एक बार board clear कर दो, बाद में कोई tension नहीं. Then you are in your 12th.
सर
Again
कुछ
you.
बहुत आ रहा है स्मिता मैडम आपका.
मेरे यहाँ से?
हाँ, एयर कुछ मे बी योर.
I think it's a fan.
हाँ,
Just
so it's causing some disturbance.
Just. Is it better now? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Is it better?
Better. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, so you have to prepare for the exams, and it's 1 second. So your parents at your 12th they will say, बस एक बार HSC clear कर दो, NEET clear कर दो, फिर कोई tension नहीं. फिर तो आपका MBBS शुरू हो जाएगा, फिर tension. Now again you are at the level where it's not your parents maybe, but you yourself are saying कि बस एक बार मेरा ये entrance clear हो जाए और मैं MD या MS करने को जाऊँ, फिर कोई tension. But trust me, this tension is never ending unless you achieve that degree. Then maybe for some days you feel good, and then the real life starts, okay, which is actually in the wards, in the clinics, with the senior doctors, and all this is going to be stressful. But again, you are preparing yourself. Never forget. I mean, today you are only Shrinil, tomorrow you are going to be Dr. Shrinil. But there is only one day which has passed in between. Okay, that one day doesn't change anything. After you become a doctor, it's just that your learning process will change. So if you are willing to learn, if you are there to listen to what your seniors say, if you keep the doctor Google aside and listen to the real doctors, and yeah, it's a very, very valid point that, we want all the shortcuts. When we want the answers, we don't want to hit the library and search for the books. We don't want to do that. We go to the Google, we just type a question and we get hundreds of answers, most of which are wrong. So, you shouldn't do that. There is no shortcuts to success. It's a cliche thing, but it holds true, I think, throughout everyone's life. So when you are into your final years, you're grown-ups, okay? And you are treated like grown-ups. So you have to accept that way, and you should feel proud of it. You will have doubts about yourself, and I think it's a good thing to have that doubt. I think it's a very, very humble feeling. Am I really worthy of it? And as long as you have that feeling, trust me, you have hopes. Because the moment you feel that, I know it all and I can do whatever I want to, then that's the end of your journey. So I think you should carry that feeling in you all the time. Okay, am I really worth it? And the answer should be yes. But the question you should always keep asking yourself. So if you're asking that question, I think it's super. It also feels you are very, very balanced and very, very grounded here. So those of you who are not asking this question, I think they should start asking. But not as a self-doubt, but as self-checking. Okay. We go to the doctors because we have doubts. So the doctors also ask us a lot of questions, but that is not because they have doubts. That is because they want clarity. Right? So when there has to be a lot of self-talk, you should ask questions to yourself And slowly the answer should always go to the positive side. Am I really worthy of it? Maybe not today, but I will be. Should I really do it? Yes, of course, I should try. Is it the right field that I have chosen? I don't know. Each one of us somewhere, someday has this feeling. Yeah, I shouldn't have chosen MBBS. Look at others. They're already settling. What am I doing? Is it really that good? Is it really worth it? But yes, since you have chosen it, it is worth it and you should do it. Okay? The final year is the time. It's not just a transition from a student to a professional. It's also a transition from a young person to an adult, to a matured adult. Okay? And I'm sure you will be able to. Some amount of fear is okay. Some amount of anxiety is fine. What we have to check is that it doesn't become a disorder. So as long as it's not a disorder and you are able to cope with it, anxiety is good. Dr.
Yeah. Yeah. So I completely agree that final year is a tough year. But at the same time, if you have done right from your first year, I think final year is just the compilation of all the previous years. So that is what is required. So it is just the final year is though the peak of your stress, because I feel that your basics and your second year, first year, what happens that is what is my experience is that the first year students are little into the mode of just let me pass through and get through, and they don't have a clear concept. Then problem comes for the repeatedly, if I'm a physiologist, so then I know that the physiology is poor, then the pathology and pharmacology is going to remain poor. If all three are poor, then medicine is automatically going to remain poor. So it's very important that in a final year, when you reach to the final year, that's why I said that you should have a 5 years vision that I am going to give a medicine. I have to have these things with a clear concept. So somewhere you must have your conceptual learning. Don't run behind the marks. Passing in an exam, frankly, when I was a student, has become very easy. Now the questions passing is not the problem, and I don't think that you should run behind the marks, because the anyway those marks doesn't has a much of a value when you are going to go and take admission for your post graduations. It's more you should become or try to be a more conceptual learner, so that you are automatically when you go into your senior years or your final year, then it is more clear. The other problem which I feel when you are coming to the stresses is the absenteeism into the clinical rounds. I think any of the senior teachers who are sitting here, I know that none of them must have. I remember myself running around at 7 o'clock just to reach into the ward in a time before my senior takes the round and my juniors. The whole of the trend of going into the clinical practice has changed. Maybe there are many reasons easily available of the YouTube or many more things that you feel that you will be easy to learn, or the other coaching classes, priorities of cracking the PG examination. But somehow the clinical teaching has hampered. And I personally feel that that impact of the student from the directly from the patient is what is much more gives you a self learning rather than any of the book. So that is what is very required. So that is a one thing which probably you should think in time when you go ahead. But yes, for the final year, yes, it is just like darkening more before the sunrise. So it just deepens before you go. It's a peak, I agree. So coming with this, let's
Uh, uh, Dr. Swapnali,
planning. So now you are
I just want to
already
add.
done with PG.
You can continue, Smita.
Yeah. There is just one thing that I want to add to all that she said. Okay. Uh, when you become professionally equipped, then suddenly you get a high. Okay. Once you become the doctor, once you start doing those rounds, you do get that high. Everybody gets that high. When you're sitting in the clinic for the first time, you yourself feel that, okay, wow, I achieved it. So don't get complacent. is what I would like to tell you. That complacency is something that kills the spirit. You should never stop learning. You should never stop being curious. You should never stop asking questions. You should never stop connecting with the people who matter. You should never stop connecting with your teachers. And you should never stop getting knowledge from whichever corners that you are getting. So complacency is what will affect your confidence. You are confident when you know that you are aware. You're confident when you are updated about what is happening around. So once you get complacent, then that might not be very good. Yes.
Swapnali, are you there?
Yeah. So I'd like to ask Sadika. So can you elaborate on the contributory factors for the PG entrance exam stress?
Yes, ma'am. So as Akarti has accurately described the scenario, like exam scenario. So now that I am on this side of the bridge, what I think is when we go through that 4.5 years of MBBS training and 1 year of internship, we see a lot of different patients from different economic strata, suffering physically, financially, and the joys of birth, the sorrows of death. So we see a lot of harsh realities of this world. So start so seeing that there's some emotional maturity which starts setting in all of us as medical students, and this emotional maturity brings the power of acceptance. So this maturity and acceptance will help us cope with the contributing factors that uh, cause stress to our entrance exam. So when we talk about contributing factors, I would like to say the first and the most major factor is competition, the cutthroat race to secure a seat in those in already limited amounts of seats. It has become so stressful, and studying for 14 hours, 15 hours, still not finding it enough. So that contributes to the stress. Secondly, when we give entrance exam, it's not just an exam, it's a life choice which we are making. It's a dream branch. We have to live with that choice for life. So that can also cause a big pressure and while appearing for these exams. And during this process, there are some students who appear for foreign exams. They wish to go outside, and there are different rules there. There are different regulations, requirements there. Building of CV. So those are the things which we realize later. Yeah, we have to do this, we have to do that. So even that can cause stress in students' life. Now, these are all the academic points which I've addressed. But when we talk about the personal life, there's also the personal growth happening throughout the MBBS. So, our parents are growing up. You realize that they are becoming, as we are growing, they are becoming old. They need our help. So, they require not physical, but some moral support. So, that some students have to take their family's responsibility once they start earning. So, and like we said, that our peers are settling down, some are even getting married and settling down. So there are different situations which we face, and that can contribute to the stress of appearing to any exam at all India level. So I think that this maturity and emotional acceptance that yes, we were destined to be doctors, we were blessed to be doctors, and so that our path will be difficult, will be a little difficult, but we are working towards a bigger picture, that is serving people, creating a difference in the community. So when we think of this bigger picture, all these problems start to seem tinier and smaller, and it becomes easier to motivate yourself to compete at that all India level, which we're talking about. That's it, ma'am.
I think you have already answered the question that most of the students would have, that self motivation is what ultimately, whenever you do any course, I would just say MBBS. When the students come to me for counseling, there are 10 standard kids, like 15 years, 16 years. So only one question, and they're so young, they don't even understand what they want to do in their lives. Unfortunately, in our country, our life career decisions we have to make at very, very early age, when we are not even clear ourselves about it. And then once we take that path, it's difficult to leave it and do something else, because every process is so difficult that on the way, like for example, I had this boy who joined IIT, and then he didn't want to do it, but then he couldn't leave because his parents will tell him that अबे IIT में admission मिला है, now you want to leave, and he would do well. It's not that he was doing badly, but his heart was not there. So it's very, very important for us and for the parents also, that when you tell your kids to do a particular thing, see to it that it is their thing and it's not your thing that you're putting on the kids. I wanted to be a doctor, but somehow I couldn't be, so now I want my son to be a doctor. That's not a good way of doing it. And at the same time, if you are passionate about this field, see, I think medicine is a field where passion is the only factor that can drive you. You really have to like it. If you don't like it, then how do you do it? You guys deal with dead bodies also when you do those I only have the experience of Munna Bhai MBBS, and you see the cadavers and you cut them open and you do all. I don't know if you actually do it or what is, but it's so difficult. You deal with blood, you deal with flesh, you deal with vomits, you deal with everything which we are scared of. And you not only have to deal with it, you have to find solutions. So unless you are really passionate about it, unless you really want to do it, and it's not just for having that title of doctor. If you want to be a doctor, you do PhD, still become. But if you want to do medicine and you want to practice it, you have to be extremely passionate about it. And you should never allow that passion to die. So if you have that goal that I really want to do something, and Sanika said that you're doing it for the society, yes, it's a bigger goal. But at the end of the day, you're also doing it for yourself. The amount of satisfaction that you get, you must be getting, and you do all these things that you do. When there comes a patient who calls you and tells you that thank you, because of you, I'm alive today. So everything that you're doing today is for that. There are also going to be times when there are misses, when there is a patient who doesn't survive. So even that things will happen. So as Sanika said, there is lots of ups and downs, and it teaches you a lot. I think doctors are the ones who are completely changed individuals at the end of their education. For others, we are only dealing with the peripheries. You are dealing with actual lives, real lives, So it is going to change. So what is important is that it changes you in the right direction. For that, you should really start liking what you're. Once you like it, nothing is different. Once you just have to jump into it, because that's how you can do it. There's no other way. If you don't like what you're doing, howsoever you try to study, howsoever good marks you get, you may get admissions in the best of the institutes in the world. If at the end of the day you don't like what you're doing, then this is not a field for you. Definitely not, because you are holding someone's life in your hands. A cardiac surgeon holds somebody's heart. So better you like what you're doing, because the lawyers, their jobs are important. We do a lot of things, our jobs are important. But for you, it's a life. It's actually life and death. So we use this phrase so easily. We don't understand the meaning unless you become a doctor, right? So it's a very, very noble profession, and you should be extremely proud that you are one of them who are going to make so much of difference in people's life. And once you have that feeling, right from the day when you start cultivating that feeling, and that would be the biggest motivator. Sanika, you're absolutely right. It changes you, and it changes you for better, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, madam. And I think, as Sanika rightly said, every student should must try building a resilience and enhancing their emotional quotient. The more they work on their emotional quotient, automatically the stress and other things will get managed. And that is what is very important for them to understand how to enhance the emotional quotient. I think that automatically will come with the self-awareness, self-discipline, and motivation. Rather, motivation should be from the internal, as you rightly said, that the passion is the one which is very important. if you are not passionate, and I have seen these, that when the parents have forced the students to come, they do come, but they sit in the lectures, or they sit into this thing, they have a very blank look. You really feel sad for them that they have been forced by their parents to come here, because there are many reasons, but they are here and they are clueless. They are never happy about their whole life. And when you are passionate, you enjoy learning and you are through with everything. There is nothing beyond it. So with this, I like.
I think Dr. Swapnali, you brought up a very important topic here of emotional intelligence, you know, and unfortunately, our society doesn't talk much about emotional intelligence. For us, talking about emotions itself is the indication of weakness. We don't even say what we feel. So I would urge all of you also to be open about what you're feeling, be it fear, be it stress, be it loneliness, be it helplessness, any negative feelings. Be open about them, speak about it. Don't allow others to think that just because you feel helpless and lonely, that means you're weak. No, all of us have these feelings, and we cannot be without the feelings. Feelings came much before the intelligence, okay? And even today, when we are so proud of our cerebral cortex, trust me, it is still the limbic system which is a bigger boss. And we realized it during the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, nobody was thinking from here. Everybody was thinking from the limbic system and getting scared. So you can't really do away with emotions. They are there to make you happy or sad. They are the indicators of your mental health. So if you feel sad, say it. If you feel happy, say it. If there is something to enjoy about, celebrate. If there is something that you should feel bad about, feel bad. Unless you feel bad, you cannot move on. If you suppress everything and say, no, I'm going to be a doctor, so I have to face everything that comes my way with a smile. We are not superhumans. We are only human beings, just doctor humans. Okay? So you have a right to feel everything. But as Dr. Swapnali said, you need the emotional intelligence to balance your emotions with the practicalities of life. Okay, so you have a right to be scared, but if you are scared of blood, then you be Smita Abhyankar and don't be Sanika Karni. Yeah, that's the only difference.
Yeah. So, as Madam said, I will say that yes, limbic system is the one which plays a very important role. It is the one which originates with your thought process and where you can address yourself. But it is a prefrontal cortex which makes a lot many things, where to go and where not to go. So, will it be a positive or negative? Will be decided by prefrontal, and prefrontal has to be very strong. So, don't reflexly react for your emotions. Think about it, consolidate it, think and judge what is right, wrong. Be strong enough to address your emotion, but address it in a positive way by with the use of a prefrontal, and go ahead in the life. So with this, Srinil,
Smita, madam, somebody wants your phone number. There's something on the chat box. Somebody wants your number if they want to take the counseling. So I think if you can, yeah.
My phone number is 922 32 42095. I will repeat. It is 922 32 42095. I will share the other details as to where I practice and all with maybe Srinil, Gauri, or one of you, and you can share it with the students. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Gautam.
Do we have time to take the questions on the chat box? We're already late, but I think there are some questions, 2-3 questions. Somebody's asking that how to take care of homesickness. So that's
Dr. Gautam wants to.
Yeah.
Okay. Let us talk about homesickness. And I think homesickness is not peculiar only to MBBS. It happens to all who stay away from your houses. The only difference is that other people have time to, act towards removing that homesickness, whereas you guys don't have that time. Uh, I don't know. I have never been away from my house, so I frankly don't have a personal experience of homesickness, but I think you eventually get over it. Okay, as I said, you have proper coping mechanisms. If your stress levels are under control, if you are able to use your emotional intelligence, and so basically that the connection between the cortex and the limbic system, you are able to use it well, then the homesickness would eventually go away. And then when you go home, you will have the college sickness. Trust me. That I have seen the kids who, when they go home, they want to go back to the college because then that becomes their life. See, whatever it is, you have to start to accept that this is my life and accept it happily. You, when you are living away from your home, you have not been imprisoned. You are privileged. Okay, and look at it as a privilege. Don't look at it as a punishment. That will remove the homesickness. And nowadays the things are easy. You can have a video chat with your parents every day. You can call them every day. Before it was like my husband always tells me that his parents are not from Bombay, and he used to live. He's an engineer. He used to live in the hostel. So every time he went back to his house, at that time itself, his father would give him a handwritten postcard that I have reached to my hostel safe. When he came to Bombay, he would just drop that postcard in the box. Then it would reach to his father maybe some 3 days, 4 days after that. Now it is so simple. You just say, "Hi, mom, I miss you." And the mom is immediately there to call. So, homesickness is something that will eventually disappear. Till it doesn't, have good support system. Talk to other people. Don't feel shy. Don't be hesitant. Everybody is going through the same ship. Everybody is going through the same problems. So, talk to people, have a support system. It could be your friends, it could be your teachers, it could be the other staff. So when you talk to people, it is going to be easy, and homesickness eventually will go. Trust me. Yeah.
So, uh, I think I'll go ahead with the other questions further. I'll ask Sanika that what is the role of the peers, teachers, and parents?
Yes, ma'am. So now that we have been having discussion about mental health, so I've observed that many a times only teenager psychology is something which is talked about. So, but when or everybody goes gaga about adolescent psychology, little children, what they are thinking. But I think now that I'm my age of 24, I think settling into adulthood, the pre-adulthood phase of 18 to 25 is equally challenging. So before degree college, we are under the protective cloaks of our parents. They're helping us. We just study and we play. There's nothing else which we do. But when we enter into a degree college, there is big exposure of variety of people, perspectives, and their lifestyle, cultures, backgrounds. So it can be overwhelming. All these new things can be overwhelming. And at the same time, we are introduced to a whole different kind of syllabus. We go from spoon feeding to self-studying in MBBS. So what I would like to address to all the students which are with us today, that they are peers or batchmates to each other. So try to embrace each other's unconventional personalities. Try to help each other, encourage each other. When you know other your friends are trying to figure out their plan to survive this long process, instead of just plain mocking, bullying, or making fun just for the sake of it, it can really help each other. Of course, there's nothing wrong in being ambitious, but then let's not turn it into some ugly competition. Role of teachers, as role, I've been recently transitioned from student to teacher. What I felt is you cannot underestimate potential of the new students which are coming in. Every generation is smarter than before. So as teacher, I think instead of taming, a teacher would be in a better role to guide and mold the students' potential into something much bigger. When they feel welcome and open to you to share their personal feeling, they would be more comfortable. As about parents, firstly, I would actually say something about personal experience, that it's not a single person effort. It's a team effort. Your parents help you right from the need to getting through all the mood swings which we have throughout the MBBS, all the tantrums which we throw. So our parents have been with us through all this drama which we have been through. So irrespective of their education, educated or uneducated, so they have been a great support to all of us. Of course, there may be some issues, some ups and downs, which can happen in every family, which are bound to happen. So for parents, the role of parents would be more accepting rather than comparing children with each other, and more supporting to their child. This can create a less toxic and stressful environment, because the students are going through a phase where they're discovering themselves, discovering their potential, and deciding what is right, what is wrong. So giving them space would be very convenient, and so let them be and let them grow. That is one thing I think parents could do on their part, ma'am.
I think very well said, Sanika. You very very matured. Again, I'm impressed by your thinking process. You know, because it's not easy. It's not easy nowadays. Typically, when I see a lot of kids, they have a very myopic view of the world. They are so engrossed in their own lives because they don't have to worry about it. So you should have this sensitivity towards everyone around you, particularly about your parents, because they may not be as educated as you. You know, they may not be doctors. Some of them are, and that is another challenge. When you already have somebody who has achieved great heights in their career as doctor, so then you have that additional stress of reaching there or trying to you compete with your parents also at that time. But otherwise, for others, their parents may not be doctors. They may be humble. They may be farmers. They could be from the villages, or even they are from the cities. They could be somebody like me. So they may not be the doctors, but they are still parents. And a parent knows you more than anybody else. So whenever you think there are issues with your parents, try to sit and talk to them. If you feel they don't understand, you don't have to explain everything. I always feel that doctors, whenever they talk to you, they use the words which are scary. Like, I mean, I didn't do everything in physiology, but when we studied brain, they used to use the words like what, dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Dude, what is that? So when you use these types of words, people get scared. Okay? So don't scare your parents. You tell them that it's difficult, but you don't have to demonstrate it to them. They are going to be upset with you at times when you talk to them much, when you don't attend the family functions, when you're away for a long time, you don't pick up their phones, you don't talk to them for a week because you're busy preparing for your exams. And they may feel bad about it. So they have a right to feel bad. They may not understand what you're going through because they haven't been through this. So what is important is that now, as Sanika said, you're becoming adults and your parents are getting old. So old age is another childhood. So you should be more forgiving. Yeah?
So I think Madam has well explained. So I will go further to ask a question to Akarti. What are the ways to go through the stressful phase and when to seek the professional help?
Thank you for your question, ma'am. First of all, as a student, I would say the foremost important thing that we should handle stress is that we should stop comparing ourselves with others. I think that's the one of the biggest mistake we do. What our peers are doing, we look out for them. Everyone has their own pace. You may be slow, but eventually you reach your point. So I feel first important thing is stop comparing yourself. Secondly, in the medical field, especially for the clinical subjects, I would say that we have stress that I'm not understanding a topic or something. The beauty of final year is that all the clinical subjects is that whatever you are learning as a topic, you will be lucky if you have to witness that in the ward or clinic. So if you have studied a topic, you witness the same thing in the ward or the clinic, so you understand it better. So I would say you should manage your time. You should manage your studies in that way that you are ready for the topics that are in front of you for the next day. Uh, for the institute, I would say that as an institute, how an institute can help students is that they can give examples in the lecture or in some sessions where students can relate. Okay, that the other student who was in the same environment has overcome this stress. I would be able to do so because you compare in that way. You will say that if he can do it, so I can do as well. Secondly, there can be self-help groups, I feel, maybe online or offline. Initially, people, and online, if you are having it online, that can be anonymous. So people can share their feelings and they can lighten up. So I feel initially there may be some hindrance, okay, on opening up, but when people start opening up, it will be a healthy environment where stress and depression would not be a stigma, but something that we can talk about. And thirdly, very importantly, I feel that every medical institute, not just a medical, every institute should have an accessible mental health service for the medical students. And in the medical institutes, that can be very well be fed by Department of Psychiatry. So these are all the factors. And I want to say that we all should look for alarming signs. As a personal experience, I have seen my senior who went, who committed suicide. So before going to that extreme level, we should look for alarming signs in our peers. Parents should look for them in their child. If the child is living away from the parents, has he started calling less, or he has stopped talking? Even peers should look out for all these alarming signs. And if there are, at that point of time, I strongly feel that you should seek professional help that can help you overcome this. So that these are my views upon handling stress.
Yes, I think it's important to discuss about the symptoms. It's a very important thing. And there are some symptoms which are clearly visible. The person suddenly becomes, isolates himself or herself, doesn't take part in any conversations. You can see the confidence going down, the body language changes. He stops eating, he's sleeping most of the times, or he starts using drugs, or he starts drinking. Suddenly, as she said, the parents stop receiving the phone calls. Okay, the friends no more interest to that person. He's sitting in front of the book, but actually doing nothing. Keeps staring at the ceiling. Okay, uh, goes to the bathroom frequently. Tries to stay away with people. So if these things are there, or there is not proper sleep, that is one thing that we tend to neglect. We feel that sleep is a luxury. When we want to be the doctor, sleep is a luxury. Yes, it is, but then you should use that luxury. It is very, very important. So if you see that suddenly somebody is sleeping for longer hours or not sleeping at all, these are all alarming signals. And if you see anybody having them, please seek professional help. Okay? Let me repeat, your doctors, you're not superhumans. And so if you need help, you should ask for it. Whoever is there. If you have a professional to help you out, nothing like that. But as early as you do it, it's going to be good. Okay? So depression, anxiety, they are the demons, and I don't think anybody should go through that. So if you see the symptoms, even if you doubt you have the symptoms, ask for help. Don't allow the symptoms to take hold of you. Yeah. Thank you, Akarti. I think that was a very, very important discuss.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think Madam and Akarti has well said about how to go ahead with the coping mechanisms and way ahead for when to seek the professional help. So again, just to take home message from all this conversation, what we had, it was a session which we conducted. The most important thing which we should keep in mind is the factors which we have contributed, which we can well plan in advance and go ahead and tackle them well before we actually go towards the exam. So going for that and realizing that stress is very important. So place yourself your priorities. So then you are not going towards it. Plus, check for the study places without a distraction so that you can you can concentrate over your study part, know your exams basically. So you should know your syllabus well, patterns and expectations of the assessors. Then somewhere the coping up with the exam stress will become better. If you don't know anything, or if you have any problems for understanding your exam, convey to your teachers very openly, because that is one thing where the learning will always takes place only when there is a dialogue between a teacher and the student. It won't take place only on the one side. So it's very important to have a dialogue instead of a monologue between the student and a teacher, not only between the peers, because peers has a certain limitations when it comes to the exam expectations. They have their own ways of expectations, and academicians has their different way of a look forward. Make schedules, do time management, which is very important, and whatever schedules you have prepared with a small objectives of preparing for a day or for a week or for a month, stick to that schedule, so that you know that you have done or you have accomplished your task. If you have completed your task, automatically you will get the confidence that you have done it. If not so, what were the lacking? So reflect upon every time that what you did, and where you went wrong, and then how you can improve upon next time will matter a lot for understanding yourself before going for the exams. Look at the bigger goal with a smaller objective. So bigger goal is to become a doctor, but the smaller objectives is completing the portion in a scheduled time, so that it becomes very easy for you to appear in the exam. As we are talking about, stay motivated. So internal motivation is very important. There are many factors which affects motivation, but then your basic goal is to clear, to become a good doctor. So stay motivated for that. And all this will be achieved, as rightly said by Sanika, is by developing your emotional quotient and building your resilience. So self-awareness, self-discipline, motivation, empathy and social interactions are a very important aspect. Regular motivating tasks, regular meditations, at least when you are stressed, control your breathing, check for your breathings regularly, take your deep breaths. Whenever you have sitting for a longer time, take a short break, sleep well, eat right. Not having a junk food matters a lot. But don't forget that when you are thinking about a stress, you are never alone. There are always someone else also along with you who is stressed from your peers. So in the whole of the class, there is someone or the other who is always stressed. But the thing to remember is passing an exam is only the part of the story. There's always a second chance. And if there is no second chance, because I have seen the students who have dropped out also from the medicine due to one or the other reason, but that is not the only way of achieving to reach your final goal. So if you are not, even if you so taking an exam is not the only way to take the stress, and this is a very minor stress to take into the comparison when you are going to have a later into day-to-day life. So it is just a preparatory phase for you all to go ahead with a better way. I think with this I will conclude. And for dear exams, it's always all the best for the exams also. So
All the best to you all. Just one point. She has beautifully, you know, given a summary. I would just say one more point. Don't forget to smile. Smile is the best medicine, and please don't stop smiling, because when you smile, it is doing a hell lot of good to your body, your mind, to your brain. Your brain wants you to smile. Okay, so please don't stop smiling. You should cry in between, but then by default you should be smiling. Okay.
I think that is what is very important. If you see that the smile of the child, look at the faces of the elderly people, then they will say, okay, there is not many difference between the smile of a child and a smile of a senior person. And that is where the lip line goes on changing. So smile is always very, very important. So smile, and whatever happens, still you smile. I think that ends from mine. Thank you so much.
Again, I think we have already covered most of the points. You know, everlasting topic. There's no end to it. Since there is no end to your MBBS, there's no end to your challenges that you're going to face. I think Dr. Gautam would like to say
Anyone
something.
who will like to give the feedback, we will be very happy to have a feedback.
May I just make a small statement? I just, I mean, it's amazing. Frankly, the three of you all have been, I mean, I'm feeling super encouraged about the kind of medical help we guys are going to get when we're old. I think we have very, very fine people coming up as doctors, and Srinil, Akriti, and Sanika, you guys have been wonderful. And I think the maturity that you guys show, the clarity of thought that you show, like how Smita has said, is amazing. There's just one thing which I feel where we oldies kind of score over you youngsters here. I think you guys are actually not technologically advantaged. You guys are technologically challenged. The reason I say this is that WhatsApp and messaging and texting has become so easy for you that the physical touch is lost very often. And it's amazing what you see, that when you reach out to people, whoever it might be, just reach out to the coconut guy also. He'll be happy to have a word with you. So do your friends. People are happy to help. They're just waiting for somebody to ask, right? And that's with everybody. You can just go down, just get into a Bombay train. You think you don't have space and somebody's arm will go around you, pulling you into the compartment. People by nature help. So just ask, but ask physically. The text reaches people who are functioning in an inanimate way. And I don't think you get the same comfort in an inanimate way through an emoji showing a hug as you would if you actually hug somebody else, right? So just reach out to your friends, dump the phone for some time, get into their rooms, pull their books away, go for a coffee, sleep after the damn coffee like we used to do it. But you'll realize that you have so many people by your side who are so happy to take you through the thing that it's actually really funny. The world becomes an amazing place to live in. Just dump that phone for some time. That's all I can suggest.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, you need to charge your battery in between. Don't let it discharge.
Thank you.
So coffee.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you everyone for the wonderful session. Thank you, Gautam, for that words, wisdom words. They were really helpful for the present generation student. Thank you, Swapnali madam, and the special thanks to Smita madam for your expert advice. And we were really coming from a non-medical, it was really a good thing. And a special mention of medical education unit of Rajiv Gandhi Medical College. Thank you, Swapnali madam. Special thanks to you for giving us the opportunity to getting connected to the students. We were waiting for this opportunity since a long time, how to get connected to the students, and you made it possible. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Srinil, Sanika, Akarti. You were awesome.
Thank you.
As Gautam said, the level of maturity you people have is really awesome. Thank you. Alpa madam.
We were really impressed with the maturity and clarity of thought shown by all the students. Amazing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.